Hello guys, today we are going to learn about HTML. So what is HTML? So HTML, it is a hypertext markup language, and like HTML stand for like hypertext markup language. So using HTML we can create web pages. So it is a markup language. So what is hypertext markup language? It is not a programming language. So for adding like containing information, we are using Sublime Text Editor. So what is HTML? So HTML stand for hypertext markup language. Hypertext markup language. Markup language. It is not a programming language, it is a markup language. So what is hypertext? What is markup? Hypertext markup language. So what is hypertext? Hypertext means that the document contain links that allow the reader to jump to the other places in the document, or we can say to another document. So now we are using HTML5 version. HTML version is HTML5. So what is hypertext? Hypertext means that the document contains contains links. Document contain links that allow the reader to jump to other places, or we can say in another document, or other places in the document, or in the another or to the another document using that hypertext. So hypertext means that the document contains links that allow the reader to jump to other places in the document or to another document. And what is markup? So markup is nothing but tags, because whatever we are written into the HTML, that we need to return into the with the help of the tags. Markup means tags. So whatever we need to return using tags into the HTML. And like we need to save HTML file using two extension like .htm and .html. So always we need to save HTML file using extension like .html and .htm. Both extension we can use for saving HTML file. And a markup language means Markup language means markup language means is a way that computers speak to each other. That computers speak to each other to control how text is processed. How text is processed and presented with the help of this markup language means using tags. So what is tags in HTML? Tags like whatever greater than in less than and greater than symbol, whatever we have written. So tags like tags are used to mark up the start of an element, and they are usually enclosed in angle brackets like this. Tags are used to start of an HTML element. Tag is used to mark up the start of an element. And they are usually enclosed in angle brackets. Example like this. Suppose I am using a tag like h1 tag. So we need to always close that tag, and we need to write like this: greater than and less than symbol. Whatever tag we need to mention, we need to mention in a greater than and less than symbol, like in a closing and enclosing tag. So what is element and what is content into the HTML? Element. So element is like suppose I am writing one tag like suppose div. So in that div, suppose I am mentioning HTML. So this whole line, with the help of this div and whatever content I have mentioned, that whole line we can say it is a element. Means with the help of enclosing and closing tag, whatever text, whatever content we have mentioned, that whole line we can say it is a element, HTML element. And suppose content. So content means enclosing, whatever I have mentioned, enclosing and enclosing tag, that we can say content. What is content? In between closing and enclosing tag. Closing and enclosing tag. In between closing and enclosing tag, whatever content, whatever we have written, we can say HTML content. And elements means with the help of enclosing and closing tag, with the help of enclosing and close in between with the help of closing and enclosing tag, whatever content I mentioned, that whole line we can say element. Means with this enclosing and closing tag, this whole line we can say element. So what is attribute in HTML? Attributes. So attribute is nothing but with the help of attribute we can say something about our element, HTML element. So and we need to always we need to we need to always we need to add attribute we need to add attribute in a enclosing tag. And it is a key value pair. Key value pair. Example, like suppose I'm using a tag like image tag. So it is a empty tag, we can say empty element and also null element. Like it is a self closing, we no need to mention forward slash here. In HTML5 we need to write like this, and in that it has inbuilt two attributes like source and alt. we uh, we can't use other attribute here. Means we can also use user defined attribute, but some attributes is inbuilt by HTML. So source and alt is inbuilt. We are using that attribute in an image tag. So in source we mention file name, and alt, like sometimes because of some issues, internet issues or other path, if I have mentioned wrong path, so that time it will show alt, whatever in alt attribute, whatever text or content I have mentioned, it will show into the browser like this. So we have discussed like what is HTML. HTML, it is a markup language, not a programming language, and it is understood by browser. So if suppose I'm writing one example here, index.html. So when I mention HTML, it is by default adding that HTML file icon. We can replace that extension with HTML also. So it is there is no any difference. So it is a VS Code extension. So by default, with the help of this extension, we can load that HTML structure. So here we need to mention doc type in HTML. With the help of doc type, browser can understand like which type of file we are using, like HTML4, 5. So for that, like we must need to mention that doc type, and then HTML. That first tag like HTML we need to mention, and like whatever content I want to load or show inside the browser, we always need to write inside the body. And by default, suppose I haven't mentioned any body tag or any, suppose I want to remove that entire content, and suppose I'm adding one h2 tag, and here I'm mentioning HTML element. So here I haven't mentioned HTML head, and we can discuss the like each and every tag in HTML. But like now I haven't mentioned any HTML head tag, HTML tag and body tag. We have just mentioned h2 tag, and in that I have mentioned content like HTML element. and we are executing that file. We can also use a live server extension with the help of VS Code. So now also it is showing HTML element. We can right click on this element and inspect. So by default, browser adding this entire HTML structure like HTML tag, head tag, in body, and like whatever I have written inside the h2 tag, by default it is added into the body tag, because whatever content I want to show inside the browser, by default it will add inside the body tag. If we haven't mentioned any HTML structure or HTML tag, head tag and body tag, by default browser will add this entire body HTML head and body tag into the browser. So whatever content I want to load inside the browser, we need to mention, we need to write that content element into the body tag. Okay, thank you guys.